Hi, everyone, and welcome to Presently Aki with Claudia. I am your host, Claudia. And Presently Aki is a community of healers from around the world that come together and share their remarkable stories and struggles and challenges they face to their path to self discovery and self healing, and hopes to empower those that are struggling as well. And we are here for you. And I am excited, as always, have Trang with me today. And Trang is a mentor and speaker for women who are hungry to pivot careers and build their dream business so they can live out their potential and purpose with freedom and fulfillment. In her mid 20s, Trang experienced a quarter life crisis that led her to leave the sports industry so she can help women not just as athletes, but as human beings. Now, Trang is determined to help others step into their greatest power and thrive in their lives of impact because ultimately she believes that when enough individuals are thriving, then humanity will thrive. And when humanity thrives, then the world can thrive for all forms of life and future generations. Ashe. Yes.
Mm.
Hi, goddess. Welcome.
Hello, Claudia. Thank you so much for having me on the show. I'm so delighted to be here.
Yes, me too. It's nice. Your first encounter with Trang was just refreshing and light and happy. And how can I not? I was like, yes, yes, yes. Come on, come on.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, it was really nice. So per usual, we're gonna take three deep breaths together. Again, if you're driving, don't close your eyes. Otherwise, if you aren't, you know, come into the space with us and let's cleanse out the day. All right.
Yeah.
So with your first deep breath, I want you to tune into your body and just feel where your body's at. And the second breath, I want you to see where your mind is at and just observe it without judgment. And then the third breath, I want you to take your deepest inhale and just hold it for 3 seconds. And when you release, I want you to release the entire day so you can be with us here now. Yeah,
Mm.
always nice to start a conversation like that.
I felt that.
Hmm.
Such a simple three
Hmm.
deep breaths, not even a
No,
minute, but can
no.
be so grounding,
Hmm.
can be so connecting.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. I love it because it's a practicality, right? For those that aren't used to meditation or are comfortable with it, it's just that's it. 1, 2, 3, and it's just to show like, oh wow, it does help shift wherever I was for a moment and into this new space now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. I love
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Thank you for
Thank
sharing
you.
that, Claudia.
No, of course, that's always helpful because it helps me too, because we all have our day, right? So as I'm
Yeah,
going through mine, I don't want to bring it into this beautiful, peaceful space because I want it to just be about this and nothing else.
yeah, for
Hmm.
sure.
Yeah, yeah. All right, let's begin this wonderful conversation. And so, my dear Trang, what were some of the challenges that you faced on your path to self discovery and self healing?
Mm. There have been quite a few along the journey. And when I think back to the earliest days from when I was in primary school, I already experienced the first layer of challenges
Mm,
in terms of who I was and how I would show up in the world. And that is in the context of me being the daughter of immigrant parents. So I'm from Australia, but my parents are from Vietnam.
mm-hmm,
And what that meant is I grew up with a very traditional Vietnamese upbringing. And when I went to school, I didn't even know how to speak English yet.
mm-hmm,
I didn't know
yeah.
the Australian culture at all.
Mm-hmm,
And that meant that, being a 6 year old who was in school, I was the weird one.
mm-hmm,
And as a result of that, I got bullied. I remember there'd be times in the playgrounds where I wanted to go and play with a group of girls, but they would actually close off their circle so that I didn't have space to go and
right,
join in their circle.
right.
So I got bullied. I got, you could say, excluded from
Mm-hmm,
being accepted at
yes.
school.
Mm.
And then that started the first wave of challenges of me accepting or coming to terms with who I was. Like, who am I? Who do I want to be? Because
Yeah.
if I am myself, if I go to the schoolyard and I speak Vietnamese,
Right.
then that backfires. Like, I'm
Right.
doing what feels good to me, but it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't feel good because
Mm-hmm.
I then get excluded. So
Right.
who should I be? Like, I should shift myself a little bit. I should
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
readjust myself so that I am accepted a little bit more.
Right.
And that started from what I remember as early as, even kindergarten already
Mm.
that was happening.
Mm.
That, I remember clearly when I was in prep, being excluded from that
Right.
circle of
Right.
girls. So from primary school, that was the start of me adjusting myself and shifting myself to be an identity that is accepted by the others.
Mm.
And then I would get more from being accepted by others than even being myself, which is what would
Yeah.
make me feel good deep down.
Right.
And then that continued on through high school, that continued on even after high school, because
Mm-hmm.
when I look at my journey, I finished high school, I graduated uni with a uni degree, and now I'm not using that uni degree anymore. I've had a career change. Um, and one of the reasons for that is because that career path that I chose to go into allied health, to become a physiotherapist, that's what
Right.
I graduated uni with. That wasn't necessarily my decision either.
Mm.
I thought that I should become a physio because my dad was a doctor. My
Right.
sister was a dentist, and I was like, okay, I need to go into the health field.
Right.
It's something that's stable, it's
Mm.
respectable, it's
Mm-hmm.
it's an academic profession.
Right.
So then I thought, you know what, I'll choose physiotherapy because it still fits into that category,
Yeah.
but also it's still, sporty. I like sport.
Right.
It's still fun in my eyes.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought I was choosing what I wanted to do, but really it was still within the confines of what others, in this case, my family, doing the best that they
Yeah.
did with what they knew,
Right.
based on their expectations,
Right.
based on the lines that they have set for me.
Right. Yeah.
So that was
Um,
the first challenge, I say, one of the major challenges
yeah.
along my journey of self-discovery.
Yeah. I love that you brought up your what you faced as a child as an immigrant in another country, right? For all immigrants, we've all been there. I've been there. My first language was Spanish, and we go right, and you're the weird one
Yep.
because everyone's speaking English, and then you look different and pa 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 pa. And what I love about that you brought this up is that when we're kids, we don't realize that we're creating masks, right, to fit
Yep.
in, and already we're running into disaster for our most authentic selves, right? Trying to be like everyone because what kid wants to be excluded, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
We all want
Exactly.
to be part of that circle, right? Want to be like, hey, I want to play with people, and when kids don't play with you, it starts to mess with you, right? Your self-worth, your confidence, even though you don't know these things and you're little, right? You're just this
Yeah.
little human. But
Exactly.
it's just interesting how the brain, right, how the mind kicks into survivor mode from so young, from seeing your environment and the kids around you, and it just wants to protect you. And it's a great reflection on the ego, how, we always like to shame it, but it has its uses, right? And in these
Yeah.
spaces, obviously we don't live in this in a worldly society where being authentically yourself is completely accepted, not everywhere, right? So until we get there, then we don't have to create these masks as kids. And
Mm,
then as you're going through your journey, and now you have another mask, right? A mask for your family,
yeah.
right?
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
still, like, you're already wearing a mask and you lost yourself in that one, and then now there's this other one, and you're like, also we don't think about like, who do I want to be, how do I want to stand out, right? And you just get lost in the mix somehow. And I think that's most of our journey. So I really appreciate that you brought that up, because how many of us out there listening are in that, have been in that space, right? Or
Mm,
coming out of the space just fresh, realizing like, oh, I should just be me, right? So I'm
yeah.
thankful for you to bring that, so that way the listener is, we all shared a shared struggle as kids, as teenagers. We all were kids, we all were teenagers, we all wanted to fit
Yeah.
in, we wanted to be with the cool kids. And obviously as we get older, we're like, oh, we didn't need the cool kids because we ended up being the way showers, right?
Yeah.
So, but at the time, it really is, we have family trauma, most of us, and then we have societal trauma, right? And then to come home to yourself, it takes time because
Mm.
we've never been in that space. Would you agree?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
It's so clear when I look at my upbringing and my journey in hindsight. But
Mhm.
yeah, at the time I didn't realize. And
Right.
I think this is actually, whether or not the listeners may feel like this is relevant, I would dare say that this is something that we all go through. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
because from the moment we're born, we're like
Yeah.
a blank computer.
Yeah.
And then every interaction, everything that we are exposed to, everything that someone says to us, any
Mm-hmm.
reaction that someone
Yeah.
has to us, it downloads
Mm-hmm.
programming into this computer. And we all
Yes.
are adults with programming from when we were kids.
Yes.
And we might not realize it, we might not see that it's a
Yeah.
program, but it is.
It
But we do
is.
have the power to change that programming. It's not set in stone.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. I love that. It is true to give that the listener a little bit of more like, hey, programming doesn't mean like we're nobody's using the first Windows on a PC, right? We're on Windows 11, I think, right?
Oh my gosh, I can't even keep up, to be
I
honest.
don't know. So many iPhones. So it's like all these upgrades. So it's the same. The brain is, I love that you said, like it's a computer and it is programmed, and it wasn't great programming, but I love that you said that you can still pivot and kind of you can deprogram, right? That's what the attention awareness, as the mindfulness person, like bringing it to awareness and saying,
Yeah.
I don't like that. I have whatever bad habit, insert there, right? And just kind of like change it. I don't want to be judgmental. I don't want to be ignorant. I don't want to self-negative talk, right? I don't, all these things are all plausible and into shifting. So thank you
Yeah.
for bringing that into light.
Mm.
Really important. Um, so what, I know you had this challenge that you had faced. Did you have anything else you want to share before I continue?
Hmm. I would say that, there are so many different examples and branches, but the
Mm,
overarching theme here is like me being lost in the noisiness,
yeah.
all the voices of who I
Mm,
should be,
mhm.
how I should show up,
Right.
and having the challenge of not knowing how to discern those
Mm,
voices
mm,
from my true voice,
that's
who I
powerful.
really am. So that is the overarching
Yeah,
challenge, I'd say.
that's powerful. Powerful.
Yeah.
What comes to mind when you just said that is, I think of our day, just 24 hours, right? How many things are we looking at, watching, listening? Like so many people's opinions we fill our heads with. But when do we really take time to listen to what we have to say, what we
Yeah.
want, what we need feel, on and on, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's good for the listener to be aware, like where in my day am I fitting my own opinion, my own self? Very
Yeah.
important. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So speaking of pivoting, what was a pivotal moment for you to lead into where you are kind of today? Like, what was that bridge for you?
Mm. It's funny that you ask, what was the pivotal moment, because it was exactly that for me. Like
Mm,
everyone's journeys, it looks a little bit different. But mine was very much a pivotal moment, because what had happened was I'd graduated as a
mm,
physiotherapist. I'd been working for a few years. I was generally happy and I was generally doing well, until one particular morning when I was 24 years old, a few years
mm,
ago now, where I'd gotten up early to go for a run. And when I stepped out onto the footpath, I hear a crunch. I'm like,
mm,
what's that? What's going on? I looked down and I'd stepped on a snail.
Mm.
Now, this isn't the first time that I'd stepped on a snail before, but for some reason, this morning I couldn't stop thinking about it. Like, I
Mm.
felt guilty
Yeah.
that me living my own life, choosing to go for a run on this day at this time, I'd caused such an effect on something outside of me. And in this case, I'd killed something.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this got me thinking for the months that followed, because here I was feeling guilty about this snail,
Yeah.
yet I started to see the bigger picture that my life in many ways was actually already neglecting different forms of life. You know, like my existence already had such a flow and effect that I'd never previously think about. You
Yeah.
know, I'd
Yes.
never really consciously acknowledge, oh my gosh,
Mm.
you know, me going about my day, living in my own life, I have this flow and effect on things beyond me that I
Yeah.
wouldn't usually see, I wouldn't witness, I
Yeah.
wouldn't necessarily understand, but it happens.
Mm.
And this felt like I had a veil taken from in front of my
Mm.
eyes. You know, I say that this is a quarter life crisis because
Right.
I was in this little bubble growing up, and until this period of time, I hadn't questioned
Mm.
so much about my life and my existence.
Yeah.
So what happened was every day I was going into work,
Mm.
and as a physiotherapist, I was teaching people how to squat, you know, to shape their
Mm.
booty a bit more, or how to do like this as
Right.
a wrist exercise for their
Right.
forearm muscles. Like that was
Right.
what I was doing day to day, but I felt like I needed to become more. I needed to do more
Mm.
because I, as an individual, I do have an impact. Like I
Mm-hmm.
do have a footprint. I
Yes.
have power.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to use that. I want to be able to use my existence and create as much of a ripple for good as possible.
Yes.
So, you know, this actually led to me, you know, going through this process of, oh my God, what should I do? I felt
Mm.
confused. I
Mm.
felt torn because remember, like this whole time, I had been shape shifting who I
Yeah.
was. The
Right.
decisions I'd been making this whole time was so that I could be accepted, so that I
Mm-hmm.
could be seen in a positive light by others.
Mm-hmm.
And now I was at this crossroads. I was like, should I continue doing physio because I'm
Mm-hmm.
already good at it?
Right.
This is how I am known. It's a respectable profession. You know,
Right.
anytime I meet someone new and they're like, what do you do for work? And I tell them I'm a physiotherapist. They always say, oh wow, that's so great. Like that's
Right.
really cool. You know,
Mm.
it elicits a certain response. But
Yes.
here I was being like, I feel like there is something else. I feel
Yeah.
like there is something more. But what are people going to think of me if I do something
Mm.
else? Like, what should I
Mm-hmm.
even do? You know,
Right.
if I want to, if I want to have an impact, should I do volunteering? You know, should I do
Mm-hmm.
activism? Should I,
Mm-hmm.
you know, start a non for profit? And those are pathways that previously the narrative that I'd grown up with wasn't necessarily something to, you know, aspire for. You could
Right.
say.
Right.
So I was torn. I was like, should I continue what I'm doing now and
Yeah.
stay with what I know? Or should I listen to my heart? And should I do what is most important to me? And in the end, after a year of going back and forth, it
Mm-hmm.
was exhausting because I was being pulled in different directions.
Right.
After a year, I finally put my foot down. I was like, enough is enough.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not going to live my life like playing a micro version of myself. I'm not going to live my life
Yes.
for other people
Mm-hmm.
in lieu of myself.
Right.
So then that's when I made a decision. I was like, that's it. I am going to, you know, pivot. I'm going to start a different business. I'm going to help, you know, people with their minds, help them thrive in their life so that they can show up and
Yeah.
they can serve their purpose. They can spread their ripple of impact and
Right.
we can all create change in this world
Mm-hmm.
together. And yeah, I made that pivot. I made that change. It was a full career change. I started a different business. I
Yeah.
stopped doing physiotherapy. And that all started because of that one morning That pivotal moments that I stepped
Yeah.
on that snail,
And
which just shows,
that snail
yeah,
did not die in vain.
exactly. Like it seems like such an insignificant event,
Mm-hmm.
stepping on a snail, but that just shows that it's the most small events in our life
Yeah.
that do have power to
Yes.
create the most
Yes.
meaningful change.
Yes.
We just have to stop and reflect to
Yeah.
activate that opportunity.
Yes. Reflection, very important power to use. Self-reflection and what's going on. And not only were you like, oh no, the snail, but you thought of everything else.
I know.
What
I full
else
went
do
spiraling. My mind went big.
you did? And that's wonderful because now it opened up a whole door within you that you didn't acknowledge, right? As you said, and were able to think in a bigger aspect. You didn't let it sort of, I'm sure you had a moment where you did go into this rabbit hole of like, oh no, what else do I affect and how do I affect? And can be overwhelming, right?
Yes,
But
it
then you
was.
come back to it like, wait, like you said, um, and I love this, how you said, but then that means that I can affect others in a positive way versus it just being
Yes.
in this negative aspect. So kudos to you to putting that together, and it took obviously time because it sat with you and you're like, what's going on with this day, that morning with the snail? Why do I feel so different? Why is my
Mm,
mind going into spaces I've never thought of reflecting on?
yeah.
And that is
Yeah.
tremendous, that kind of like Gaia, Mother Nature, had an impact in you, and she's like, oh, she got it.
Yeah.
Okay, you rest in peace, snail. But we got her. We got her to wake up in a different way, and that is just really beautiful. Such a beautiful way to come into yourself through that energetic field.
Mm,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny because at the time, this quarter life crisis, it didn't feel good. Like I was confused, I
Mm.
was torn. I was just like, oh, why do I have to go through this? I wish I didn't have this realization and I could just continue on my life as normal. But now I look back and what you just said, Claudia, it's like it was actually such a blessing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm lucky that I went through this because I talk to women out there, and there are women who are, you know, they're still going through that, or maybe they're even before that. They don't know
Yeah.
what it is that they want to do with their life. Like
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
they don't have that clarity, and they
Yeah.
wish they could have that light bulb moment. They wish they
Yes.
could have that awakening, you could say.
Yes.
And I did. It
Yeah.
wasn't pleasant at
Right.
all. There were times where it was very emotionally and mentally draining.
Mm.
But I look back now and I'm so grateful that I got that opportunity
Yeah.
for, realization and clarity.
Yeah.
Because of
Yeah.
that, I now get to do what I love. I get to
Yeah.
step into the
Mm-hmm.
truest, most evolved, expressed version of
Yes.
myself. But of course,
Yes.
I had to go through that metamorphosis.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
had to go through the qualifying stages of discomfort
Yeah.
and change so that I could transform from the caterpillar into the butterfly, you could say.
Absolutely. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Beautiful. What did your parents say when you were like, you know what? I'm not doing this anymore. I don't know how to explain this because the snail story might sound a little crazy to that generation. Be like, what? You're gonna quit because of a snail? You know what I mean? So I would
Uh-huh.
like to know, how did that go for you?
That is such a valid question because, like I said, my parents, being immigrants, they
Mm.
wanted a life to have a life of
Yeah.
success, and in their eyes, there was a particular pathway for success.
Right.
I was very lucky because at 24 years old, I was living out of home already, and
Yeah.
because of that, there was space between
Mm.
my beliefs, my pathway, and my parents. So there was that space, first of all, but also my parents, they had evolved themselves and they had started to shift
Mm.
their way of thinking. And it's so beautiful because that is what happens, like we're always doing the best that we can with
Yeah.
what we know,
Yeah.
and they are so supportive of me now. They might not always get what I do, they still aren't 100% sure,
Right.
but they're supportive, and they're happy that I'm happy, and I'm actually Yeah, I'm doing just as well, if not better, than previously. So yeah.
Right.
So
Yeah,
I
that's
think I think
beautiful.
the evidence is like, okay, they're like, okay, we can breathe. You know, we,
Yes, yes,
we
she's
know that
doing
you're
great.
okay. We know that you're
Yes.
okay.
I love that. You're like, I already claim independence, so kind of like, can you really say anything? You know,
Yes,
I
literally.
apologize. I'm like, I did not expect the sun to come this way, but here we are, and I'm just gonna flow with it. I did close it, as you can see, but it is a piece, and I'm like, okay, son, you want to be a part of the podcast? It's cool. Um,
Yes, the
right?
sun is illuminating this conversation.
It sure
So
is. It's great. So that's no, I love that they're supportive. Like it took them a minute, but they're like, oh wait, she's happy, she's doing better, she's motivated, she's passionate, like all the things. Like how can you say no, right? Like
yeah,
to see, I'm sure they're like, yeah, you know, she was happy. Like I love how you said, I was good at it. And how many of us tell
mm,
ourselves that story? That's something that stuck with me when you shared that. And we're like, but I'm good at this. Yes, but is this what you would love to do at the end of the day? Is this your passion? Is this something you feel that is making a change, right? That the bigger picture.
yeah,
And and how many of us are there, have been there or are there like, but I'm good at this. And the fear
yeah,
of releasing that is bigger sometimes than moving onto what the next space and journey of your life may be, right? And you were able to take the leap
yeah,
courageously. I'm sure, you know, the self-talk wasn't like, oh, okay, okay, bye, bye physiotherapy, now I'm just gonna go do this, okay, bye. You know, obviously, you know, with every ending there's a grief, there's a letting go, and then the shifting into this new energy and new dynamic. And also no one in our families has ever been in these spaces, right? So it's even a little scarier starting your
yeah,
own business and something that and you know, for your generation, my generation, they have not done, right? They're no to work. And like when you quit these jobs, they're like, how dare you? Like I came here so you can have this, right? So and then having the, you know, knowing who comes first though. Like I get
mm,
it, parents and family and everyone who wants to make sure that we're okay, but I have to put myself first and do what is right and best for my journey. And I feel because of the snail, this is where I'm heading, right? So
yeah,
really
yeah.
beautiful.
It's yeah. It's funny. Like it can be such a challenge for us to step into our truth,
Yeah.
but it's like, since when did it become more difficult for us to live our life
Mm-hmm.
instead of someone else's life?
Mm-hmm.
To think of it
Yes.
like that. You know, at
Yes.
what point in our lives do we stop living someone else's life and we start living
Yes.
our life?
100%.
Um, and I understand it's easier in theory than
Mm-hmm.
actually being
Mm-hmm.
done. That's what I went through myself. There's a lifetime of subconscious molding, you know,
Mm-hmm.
of our mind categorizing things that we should be doing, things that we shouldn't
Yes.
be doing. That
Yes.
programming from the moment we are born.
Yes. Right.
So it's a journey, it's a process.
Mm-hmm. It is a
But if we keep
process.
coming back to, it's our life, um,
Yes.
you know, what's going to be more of a waste? My 4 year uni degree or the next 40 years of my life if I keep playing it small?
That
If I
part.
keep, yeah, if I keep living for someone else, what's
Mm-hmm.
going to be more of a waste after all?
Right. What are you going to regret on your deathbed?
Mm,
Working for someone else or following your dreams?
yeah,
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 it's big and it's scary, right? For the people out there listening, I know it's scary and we understand, and I think more so now than ever. And this is why I'm able to have all these healers, because now everyone's standing in their own truth and their own path and saying, this is what I want to do. I want to help other people. And there's so many ways to be assisted if you're looking to be helped, to go into the spaces of, I don't know, like you're saying, like we're gonna get into a little more of what you do, and like I don't know where I am, right? I don't know where to go. Help me, right? And there's so many amazing people, and this is why I interview people from around the world. So no matter where you are listening from, there's going to be someone that's either close or doing it online and around your time zone, right? So I want
Yeah.
to encourage everyone. That's why we're both here, to encourage people to step out of their comfort zones a little bit
Yeah.
and trust, right? Because I feel like when people are like, oh, trust in the universe, if you are the universe, would you disappoint yourself,
Mm,
right?
yes.
I wouldn't. I would be like, here's all the goodies. Don't worry about other people's businesses and lives and what they want you to do. What do you want to do? Tell me how to do it and I'll show up for you.
Mm, yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Beautifully said.
yeah, it's important for the people out there listening to understand, like, the fear is gonna come, but just do it. Because we talk about multiple lifetimes, right? Um, but we're here now,
Hmm.
right? What are you
Yeah.
doing here now for you? That's just blowing your heart up and making it a fire and just like, oh my God, and feeling alive, unlike anything before, right?
Yeah. I
Yeah. And
love
speaking
that.
of alive and on fire, I am.
You're literally glowing.
Literally.
The sun is on you and you are glowing with energy.
Yeah. Yeah. Now I'm like able to like host it and hold it and give it out. So now that we've come through this beautiful journey through, what you went through, and how you were able, this wonderful snail, which I'll never forget this story because it's remarkable. I'm
Yeah.
gonna, because I have snails by me too, so I'm gonna be like, oh, you guys are amazing.
You guys have a legacy that you're leaving.
Yes, yes, changing human lives for the better. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So now, as speaking of your butterfly stage, what are the services you're offering to the community?
Mm. Yeah, where I've landed is, being in a place where I want to have that ripple effect, I want to
Mm-hmm.
have that impact. And like I mentioned, or like you introduced before, how I see what I do is I work with individuals and help them raise their levels of consciousness, help them
Mm-hmm.
connect to themselves, and
Yeah.
ultimately, fulfill their purpose,
Right.
fulfill their potential during this lifetime.
Mm.
And a lot of people who I'm working with at the moment, they're doing that through the avenue of their career and business. A lot
Mm.
of people in their 20s, in their 30s, who similar path to me,
Yeah.
they're already doing well in a profession that they started when they
Right.
were 18, 19, 20 years old. But now they're in a place where they know they can be more, they know they can do more, and
Mm-hmm.
they need guidance mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, to take that journey and to start that business, to pivot careers, to step into personal mastery, professional
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
achievement.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm doing now is I am a mentor, I'm a coach, I'm a speaker, and this is the message that I want to share. I work with individuals one on one. I have group programs and masterminds. I do retreats, and all of the it allows such a scope of ways that I can touch
Mm-hmm.
different heartbeats and they can experience this work in a way that is right for them, because not everyone wants to do one-on-one, not everyone wants to do a retreat, but
Right.
I want to have a range of offerings that is going to be accessible for everyone, that's
Right.
going to be um, available to
Mm-hmm.
you
Mm-hmm.
at this point on your journey.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing. I love how you said that I can touch other people's heart, like, and help them. Like, where are you? Where is your heart? It's kind of like, well, show me where are you and where do you want it to go? Where do you want to move
Yeah.
forward? And what is your favorite thing about your job? About your
Oh.
career, I should say. Excuse me.
Yeah. Oh, honestly, so much. But I think what comes to me right now as I sit here overlooking a rice field in Bali is the beautiful freedom and flexibility
Mm-hmm.
of this work,
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of what I do is online. My
Yes.
retreats are in person, of course, but it allows me to live my best life. And I think
Yes.
this is something that I'm really stepping into and I'm really owning, because I used to play down,
Mm-hmm.
like, I guess, what I could enjoy as a result of
Right.
doing this. I used to play that down. But now I actually want to own it more. I want to embrace it, because my ability to travel, my ability to work from anywhere in the world, my ability to have a lot of free time, you could say.
Yeah.
I actually made a post the other day, because I went to a waterfall at 3 p.m. on Tuesday. And I was like, you know how there's this joke of your unemployed friend on a random Tuesday at 3 p.m. going
Uh-huh.
to a waterfall or going, I don't know, skydiving or something.
Right.
Well, that's what I did, right? Like I worked in the morning, and then I took the scooter out here in Bali, and I just went to a waterfall on Tuesday afternoon.
Yeah.
And I really want to embrace that now, because me living my own life, me
Mm-hmm.
experiencing as much as I can, me having the time and space to develop myself, to expand myself, to embody my highest self is only going to increase exponentially what I get to gift you, like what I get to
Yes.
give. And
Yes.
I really see that as a relationship now. It's like the the more that I can step into my light and my power, the more I can give out, the more I can share, and the more that I can hopefully spread
Yes.
that impact. So that is what I love most about what I
Yes.
do.
Oh my God, that was so beautiful. You're like speaking to my heart. My heart is like, yes, exactly. Because that's what it
Mm,
is. Yes, the fear of stepping into our fullest divinity, power, light is scary. But what Trang just said is the benefit of that. Not only are you expanding and growing and giving to yourself and filling your own cup, but now you can help other people with their cup,
yeah,
right? They're coming at you like, hey, Trang, I don't know, where do I get more water? I forgot, or I don't know. I usually go to the village and pump the whale, but everyone's there and we're in a drought. You know, what do I do?
yeah,
How do I fill up my own cup moving forward so I don't have to depend on the external
yeah.
for, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah,
Wow. Yeah, that is beautiful, beautiful. Yes, cuz the gift of giving is the gift in itself, right? It's you're giving because you've given to you.
yeah. Yes, I feel
So,
that.
yeah,
I
right?
feel that.
Cuz we all want to give, we all care and we all love, but when your cup is empty is when, having the discernment to know like right now I don't have it cuz my own cup isn't full. So right now, having the boundaries, also learning how to vocalize that, right? And saying like, I can't right now. But not to say that that's a forever. It's just for the now. Right now, I'm going through stuff, or my cup is empty. I need to go through my own journey until I can, offer otherwise.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
think that's important. Yeah,
Yes. I
I
love
love
that.
that.
Thank you for
Yeah.
sharing that.
No, thank you for inspiring that because that was I was like, oh my God, yes, yes, just talk about this because it's important. We all, I think, especially, I love that you work with women. As women, we're naturally mothers, right? We want to give and want to be there,
Yeah,
and right, and offer to our friends and family. If you don't have kids yet, you still are a giver at some point or somewhere, your job, wherever. But it's like
yeah,
what's a healthy giving, and I love that you are able to help people to like go into themselves and help them like, hey, before we start thinking that over giving is thriving, let's back it
mm,
up a little bit, right?
yeah, yeah,
And see where we can, what's it, pull back the reins a little bit and start from here and then move, then expand, right? Like you have to go in to push out,
yeah.
right? You can't
Totally.
just push out without going in. It doesn't um, work that way. Um,
Yeah.
but yes, that is amazing. What kind of retreats do you hold? Is it in different places of the world or?
At the moment, they're based in in Victoria, Australia, which is where I
Mm-hmm.
am from. And the retreats are part of my 6 month mastermind, Life of
Mm.
Legacy, which is, the experience for women to step into their highest power, become the woman of legacy that they know they are.
Mm.
And it's a 4-day retreat as part of this experience.
Right.
And it's all about connection, celebration,
Mm.
expansion, but also embodiment. Like, because,
Mm.
when we're
Yes.
there in person, we get to embody things that we might not be able to do when we're over Zoom or when we
Right.
are in our home environment. And
Mm-hmm.
something that is the absolute highlight of the retreat. I'm so excited for this because the next one's coming up in October. We go skydiving. like
What?
like it is no small thing. Like, yes, the retreat is meant to be, it's like relaxing, so all that, but also embodiment, stepping out of what we
Yes.
think we could do, like
Yes.
expanding our boundaries, going out of our comfort zone. And it's the most exhilarating, expansive
Mm-hmm.
exercise.
Yes.
um and it's not like it's optional, like you don't have to
Okay.
do it,
Okay.
but it's something that I get so excited for as part of the retreat.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Have you skydived before?
What's actually really funny? I haven't. Although
Okay.
I've meant to multiple times. Like one time, the most recent time, I was on my way to
Mm.
skydiving, and
Mm.
halfway there, I got a phone call and it had to be cancelled because of the weather.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
So multiple times I've had instances like that, and I haven't gone, but I will be going in October with these women for the first time.
Amazing. That is remarkable. Oh, gosh, to go to Australia and skydive. Yeah, let's go. Like,
Let's do it. Yeah.
oh my gosh. So this 6 month mastermind course that you have, um, what is it, if I may ask, like, the women that join, right? What is the common thread there of why they're coming to you? And then
Mm.
the opposite, when they get out of the 6 months, what's the common glow?
I love that question and how you phrase that.
Mm.
The common thread of these women who come to me kind of ties into what I said before, in regards to who I work with.
Right,
So these are women who, you know, they're doing well in their life already,
right.
but they know they've got more in them. They know that
Mm-hmm.
where they're at now and where they're going is nowhere near what they're destined for,
Right, right.
in terms of who they are going to become, in terms of what they're going to achieve, in terms of
Yeah,
the impact they're going to
yeah.
have. So a lot of these women are in the process of maybe pivoting careers, starting a business, and some of them not even necessarily. Some of them are like stepping into their highest level of
Mm.
mastery personally and professionally. They might not be pivoting careers or starting a business, but a lot of them are.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them are. And then at the end of these 6 months, they walk away and it's full power, it's embodiment, it's, becoming this version of themselves and creating evidence in their reality of what they are truly capable of.
Yes.
And healing the different parts of them that may have held them back before. There's a big
Right.
part of that because, we transform from the
Mm-hmm.
inside to reflect externally. And there is
Right.
so much healing, of limiting beliefs. There's so much
Yes.
healing of certain wounds and, uh, you know, limitations,
Right.
so that they can express their
Mm.
potential into reality in their
Yeah.
career, in their business, in their relationships, in their health, and in their
Yeah.
life as a whole.
Yeah. Definitely. And as you see them after the 6 month, how does that feel for you? Just watching them, and now,
Mm,
like, you know, like, because I'm thinking I'm in love with the snail. So I'm thinking like this, and to think this all started with this snail,
a
right?
snail, yes. It is the most emotional part of my work.
Mm,
When
mm-hmm.
I finish a retreat, when I finish a group container,
Yeah.
is when I am most often moved to tears because of the impact that
Yeah.
not just I have had on these women, but the snail might have had. My
Right.
parents have had,
Yeah.
my grandparents have had, being refugees on a
Yeah.
boat from
Yeah.
Vietnam. And we all intertwine to work together towards a
Yes.
progressive world, towards a
Yes.
better world. And I see so clearly, the power of this ripple of impact, of
Yeah.
how it will spread across the globe, even beyond our lifetime,
Yeah.
beyond what we'll ever get to witness or understand. That the beauty of me being able to do what I love and also having that impact.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, it
Wow.
touches me a lot.
Yeah. Rippling out through time. I love how you said, like, I may not see, right? Because you're also affecting not only their lives, but their families' lives, and then
Yeah.
their future children and their jobs and their this. And it's just like ripple through other people, right? So your
Yeah.
ripple plus rippling others. So yeah, it's not this lifetime, it's past that, because now you've started a wave of self-worth and self-belief and confidence and trust and surrender that is not fully thriving now. We're not in a full world. Like, I loved how your introduction, right? Like, to have the world to thrive is
Mm,
that ripple effect. So I am blown away by your journey and getting to know you so much more. And
mm,
what you're doing is giving me chills, and I'm sure the listeners. I'm just like, wow. It
mm,
wow, I'm getting emotional. Okay.
mm.
It gives it adds to my cup, right? In the sense that, wow, as I keep interviewing so many amazing people from around the world, it brings back for myself faith that we're all here. We're all listening to the call and picking
Yeah.
up and saying that, okay, I'll be a way shower. Just let me know where I show up. I have to
Yeah.
go through what first? Oh boy. Okay. It's like,
Yeah. Yeah,
right?
totally. And I really feel that, this conversation, this podcast, your energy, Claudia, is part of that ripple. And
Mm,
um yeah, I think we're all one. I know this sounds really cliche, but we are all one big family,
yes.
living and working harmoniously
Yeah.
towards this state of this thriving, flourishing,
Yes.
conscious, loving world.
Yes.
And yeah, let's keep shining our light is what I
Yes.
want to finish off with, I guess.
Yes. And also, like, as you're shining your light, you're now becoming the ancestor for the future generations ahead of
Yeah.
you. And
Yeah.
that's just mind blowing. Oh my gosh, I am so grateful to have come across your way, and thank you for reaching out, um, and to have you on. And you are beyond delightful. You almost made me cry, so that says.
Mm, yeah.
But before I do let you go, I wanted to know if there was anything that you felt called to share to the listener before we finish.
Oh. Final thing I'd like to say,
Mm,
a quote that I'm really living by at the moment is, the purpose of life is to live a life of purpose.
yeah.
There's no one sole purpose. I don't, at least personally, believe that there's not one thing that we're meant to do. We don't need to find it. We don't need to
Hmm.
like search for it.
Right.
But as long as we are showing up in our days with purpose and with
Hmm.
intention for positive
Yes.
impact, then we're doing the best that we can as human beings. That's
Yes.
all we can do each day,
Yes.
no matter how small, no matter how big, that we have purpose.
Yes.
So
Beautiful.
let's do that. Let's live that.
Let's live that. And where can people find you?
Yeah, I'm most active on social media on Instagram. So you can find me Trang Nguyen. I know that's a mouthful. I'm sure you'll put it in the show notes.
Oh, I
It's yeah,
will.
TRANGCESSNGUYEN.
Mhm.
So that's where you can find me, and then from there you'll find all the other resources, whether it's the
Right.
website, the podcast, other
Perfect.
platforms. Yeah. And
Amazing.
then
Yes. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, feel free to send me a message. I'm
Mm,
always more than happy to
yeah.
have a chat and to connect.
Beautiful. Yay. Yes. I'll make sure to put all her links will be on YouTube, Spotify, and my website. Um, yeah, I'm like thinking where else. I think that's it. I think, and then also when I tag you on Instagram, then you'll be able to find Trang as well. Please do reach out, and I do love the offering to reach out for any questions, so that way people feel comfortable for whatever may have you that may inspire you to reach out. Definitely do. For those of you that are on the other end of listening, and may not watch the YouTube, is it's quite all right. But I just want you to know that as an intuitive and an energy reader, this woman's light is radiating beyond. Like, she may be thousands of miles across the Pacific from me, but she is right here with me. Hmm. So thank you,
Thank you,
Trang.
Claudia.
No, this was beautiful. It was perfect. Thank you. So,
Mm.
I want to thank all the listeners for listening and tuning in and expanding with us today. Always remember that the breath is the secret, and always lead with love. And until next time, I will see you then. Thanks.